rodafleming in the Philippines here. I hope I'm looking better this time. First of all, my apologies for being a bit inconsistent with video production. I'm actually working on a new book. It's been absolutely night and day for months. I've just finished the third run-through of the second draft, and I think I'm kind of getting there now. It's shrunk by about a quarter in its original length, which is normal between a first draft and subsequent drafts, but it's actually much better, it's much tighter, it's more precise. I'm not going to tell you yet what it's about, but I'm sure you'll enjoy it. So that has really taken most of my time, and bear in mind, I do have to give some time to Sam. Now, the other reason is that some time ago, YouTube began demonetizing and shadow banning my channel, so it doesn't get the views that it should. And what's happening is that as soon as I put any video at all, it doesn't matter what it's about, a day at the beach, and they immediately say it's not suitable for advertisers, and so I then have to protest, and eventually they come back and say, oh yes, actually it is fine. But the thing is that most of your advertising revenue, and I mean it's only at most $100 a month, most of your advertising revenue actually comes from those first few days. So this is how YouTube manages to con people to keep putting videos up without actually paying them. That's all it is. I mean, they're an American company. You can't trust them. You can never trust an American company. It's as simple as that. So I will also point out that I have been told by various sources that making videos about autogynephilia is not popular. There are people who are really object to me doing it. But I think that one has to kind of stand up for one's beliefs and principles, and autogynephilia is a real problem, and it's becoming more so. So I think we're going to go back to discussing autogynephilia in detail, and also the differences between it and true transsexualism, or sometimes called homosexual transsexualism, former trans kids, whatever you want to call it, sexual inversion. It's all the same thing. Complete sexual inversion is. It's all really the same thing. Autogynephilia, I've said before, is a man's propensity to be aroused, sexually aroused that is, by the thought or image of himself as a woman. Now, this has come to cause some problems recently. Over the last 6 months, there's a person called Jonathan, or Jessica Yaniv, has been pursuing a tactic of demanding that waxing salons wax his male genitalia, and then taking women, he only approaches women, to court in Canada when they refuse. And he sees, he is in a response to a recent interview with an Irish journalist, Ian McCann. He said that he saw this as being a continuation of the good work, in his eyes, that was done, for example, with the wedding cake fiasco, where gay couples would go into Christian bakers, deliberately choosing Christian bakers to cause the maximum amount of upset and disruption, political effect, ask them to bake a cake and then sue them. Fortunately, as far as I know, these are now being struck down by federal courts in the US, and hopefully these will be struck down everywhere, because, I'm not a particularly religious person, but I do believe in respecting religious freedom. I don't think that there is actually a real religious justification for discriminating against gay people, but at the end of the day, if that's your belief and you don't want to make a cake, that is, provide a service, then that's fine. Let's face it, the same thing applies with the sweaty balls on this character, Yaniv. You have a choice in life for whom you work. And I'm sorry, but when the state says, no, you have to work for anyone who says so, then that's not right, that's wrong, that's slavery, and it has to stop. And I'm sure Yaniv's case will garner a great deal more attention. He's obviously an extremely unpleasant person who thinks that what he's doing will somehow further the conversion of society into the collectivist neo-Marxist utopia that the left obviously wants. And I hope he fails. I really hope he fails. Having said that, I'm very concerned, and have been for some time, over a year now, that the backlash which is inevitable now against people like this idiot, Yaniv, will affect true transsexuals. True transsexuals never engage in any kind of the transgressive behaviours that have become absolutely typical of radical feminists, the new gay man, and now autogynephilic transvestites. Basically, the whole of LGBT now is a political organisation which exists to destroy society. That's all it is. It's not about equality. It's not about rights for particular groups of people. It's about destroying the mainstream society, and specifically about eradicating white men. Well, I'm sorry, I'm not up for that. And I don't think any of you should be either. I think that this subversion of what may well have been movements that had justification and value in the past into these overt and vicious political groups is completely wrong. What they're doing is they're using protection under identity politics to avoid having any kind of political debate. I mean, if we're going to have a political debate, then surely we should discuss whose rights come first. Is it fair to ask a woman to wax a man she doesn't know's balls? Supposing she's a Christian, supposing she was once raped, supposing she's had abusive experiences with men. Well, why is that of less value than Yaniv's right to shame her in support of his political view? Now, we're not allowed to have that debate. People like this will not have this debate. They'll just say we're transphobic. But you can't say I'm transphobic. I'm married to a trans woman. Okay? And her benefit, her life, her ability to survive and thrive in society is massively important to me. And the fact is that people like Yaniv, Yaniv is not transsexual. He's an autogynephilic transvestite. These people are damaging the ability of true transsexuals to live their lives in peace and freedom. It's causing them to be more secretive. I said a little while ago that the best thing that an HSTS or a true transsexual could do today is to hide. But, I mean, what's that? You know, this is 2019, and we're saying to transsexuals that they should really go back to the situation they were in 50 or 60 years ago, where they should just hide. Don't let anybody know what you are. You know, you're not being accepted, because what happens is that society, because of these loudmouthed, bullying, autogynephilic transvestites, everybody thinks that they're actually trans women, which they're not. They're men with a mental disorder. And I'm sorry, you can say it's not in the ICD-10 anymore, or the ICD-11, whatever we're on now. I don't care. It's a mental disorder. You know, you get somebody like that who pursues women sexually, who wants to discuss the details of menstruation and the use of female sanitary products with women. That is a person with a disorder. That is a person with a fetish, a paraphilia. That is not a trans woman. That's not a transsexual. Transsexuals are sexually inverted. We know how it works. They experience, while they're still fetuses in the womb, they experience anomalies in testosterone delivery, which end up with them being feminized across a range of parameters. And, you know, they may be more feminized than some and less so in others, but they are feminized across this range of parameters. They can't help that. That's who they are. They were literally born that way. And if you talk to any HSDS, and I know plenty of them here, any transsexuals that is, they'll all tell you the same thing, that they knew that they were transsexual by the age of 2 or 3, as soon as they can actually have memories. And what's interesting is that if you ask the people who knew them, you know, their parents, or their childhood friends, and people in the Philippines, they keep friendship a long, long time. You know, people in their 20s and 30s now have still got the same friends they had in elementary school, which in the West has become rare because you know, the Western society is so compromised now. But you can ask their friends, and they'll say, oh yeah, gosh, you know, I was wearing a towel on her head at the age of 3, you know, pinching her sister's Barbie dolls and her clothes. Obviously, everybody knew she was going to be bakla. You know, everybody. It's not a secret. You know, and these autogynephilic transvestites, they're just not like that. Transsexuals can't help being feminine. That's what they are. These autogynephilic transvestites, I mean, they're deranged men. I'm sorry, they just are. And the simple fact is that pandering to them, humouring them, is not helping either them or society at large. These people need serious medical, psychiatric help to help them to control their autogynephilic urges. Now, I'm not saying, by the way, I am not saying that I have any objection whatsoever to them dressing up as women. I don't give a damn what you dress as. But when it comes to using that to impinge on other people's lives, to force them to do things that no reasonable person would consider was an acceptable thing, like a man asking a woman to wax his balls, and I'm sorry, no, we can't have that. That's not an acceptable thing. We don't care if you're dressed as a woman. I don't give a damn. And some ATPs, autogynephilic transvestites, some of them aren't that bad looking. They manage to actually almost just about pass, especially in Asia. But they're not. The Asian ones are not asking for that sort of thing. I mean, the Asian ones can be difficult, but they're much more controlled by the society than is the case in the West. So they just wouldn't get away with that sort of thing. They would find themselves pariahs. They'd be shunned. They'd be out of society. Women would just say, no, we're not having you amongst women and children because we can't trust you. And so you find that autogynephilic transvestites, they call them late bloomers here, in the Philippines and elsewhere in Southeast Asia, they are actually more predatory on, guess who? HSTS, the actual transsexuals. That's the ones they predate on, because they get rather less protection from the overall society than the women do. Anyway, that is Yaniv. There's plenty of other people who've discussed in detail the actual sequence of events surrounding Yaniv's recent history and the things that he's done. But this is basically it. He's using this idea that he is in a protected class to force women to do things that they just would not do. And, ask yourself, if that was your wife or your daughter or your sister, how would you feel about it? I would not feel very happy about it myself. I think I might like to have a word or two. And I think that it's time that we stood up and said, no, sorry, this sort of thing isn't going to happen anymore. But at the same time, I think that we have to understand that transsexuals, that's homosexual transsexuals, must be protected. They cannot help what they are. And they are completely harmless. They do not predate on other people. All an HSTS wants is a big, hairy man to keep her warm at night, to hold her hand, and to say, I will not let the bad people come to you. I will protect you. That's all she really wants. She's not a threat to anybody vulnerable at all, and certainly not women. I mean, you should talk to some HSTS about how they feel about women's vaginas. It's, it's not very complimentary, Because why would they be? That's not something they're interested in. So that's Yaniv, and that's the start of me going back. I'm going to do some more. We're going to go over the essential differences between HSTS and autogynephilia again, because it's quite clear that some people haven't picked up on it, or perhaps my videos, because they're being shadow banned, are just not being seen. And I guess one way of trying to get around that is just to make more. And the other thing to say, which I should perhaps have said at the start, that hey, I like doing these things off the cuff, is that I will from now on, I have been doing a little bit of it in the past, but it's just getting time to do all this stuff. Everything that I post on YouTube will also be posted on my own site, and subsequently any other video hosting sites that I can find. I don't think that, especially starting 2 years ago when Trump was elected and continuing now, YouTube has really shown its true colours, and nobody with a reasonable, centrist, egalitarian, libertarian point of view has a place on YouTube anymore. You know, if you're not out and out in political terms, I mean, you can make as many videos as you like about motorbikes or I don't know what, Sudoku, but if you're expressing a political point of view that is anything other than extremist neo-Marxism, they don't want to know you. And I don't think it's acceptable for what is actually a monopoly to be able to do that. And I look forward to the day when Trump finally gets his finger out of his bottom and puts them under proper regulatory control, so that we can at least sue them for damages when we censor stuff that is centrist. It doesn't agree with their political point of view. So anyway, that's it. Jonathan and Jessica Yaniv, a whole bunch of trouble in a bundle. I sympathise enormously with the women who've had to deal with this. You know I'm no feminist, but that's just wrong. It's just wrong. And everybody should be angry about it. Everybody. Okay. We'll see you next time. Take care.